That Blind Tech Show with Bryan Fischler. That Blind Tech Show. That Blind Tech Show.
Welcome back to another episode of That Blind Tech Show. And I know some of you are still asking us because we're so new, where can I find That Blind Tech Show? We are part of the Blind Abilities Network, so do not type That Blind Tech Show into your podcast player, as we do not have our own feed. We may in the future, but right now, just type in Blind Abilities, and that will download That Blind Tech Show to your podcast player. Also, Blind Abilities, we have our own app. You could download the app from the App Store on the iPhone, and our show will show up when we release it and everything. So check out the app in the App Store. On Twitter, we are at Blind Tech Show. Know that in there. Twitter wouldn't allow us to fit it. And if you want to email us in, we're thatblindtechshow@gmail.com. I'm, of course, Blind Gator, Bryan Fischler, your co-host. And joining me this week, somebody that a lot of you know, John Panarese from MacForTheBlind. How you doing today, John?
Good. How's it going? Thanks for having me on board.
Not too bad. We're thrilled to have you as part of our recurring co-hosts and everything. And a fellow New Yorker there. How's your summer been, John?
Been good. I haven't really been around much in New York. Been in Nashville, been in Orlando for the NFB show, and I was up in Buffalo staying at my brother's for a couple of weeks. My nephew plays in travel baseball, a 9-year-old circuit, so I got to see some of their tournament games in Pennsylvania and in Buffalo. So I'm finally home for a few weeks, and then I go on an actual vacation and having nothing to do with work in September.
As a big baseball fan, I have to ask, has your 9-year-old nephew had Tommy John surgery yet?
No, but, we had a great discussion. Some of the coaches, we were talking about the fact that these kids are not taught to pitch properly. Like,
exactly.
It's all arm strength and shoulder. And this is why these guys blow out their elbows and have this thoracic stuff with their shoulders, because they're not being taught to use the legs and drive with the legs and stuff. And fortunately, one of the guys who helps coach my nephew's team is a big believer in the Tom Seaver's school of pitching. So he actually teaches the kids to use their leg strength when they pitch.
Yeah, did you know Tom Seaver's very sick?
Is he?
He has Lyme's disease. Yeah, really, really bad case of it and everything.
Oh, I didn't even know that, no.
Yeah, but I know people aren't joining us to listen to baseball. They want their tech news, and they want it now. So let's get to some of the articles I pulled up. This first article, it's sad that we only come out every 2 weeks, because this article came out right after we released the last show, but it was just too good not to discuss, And, John, if I told you that the machines one day would create their own language and rise up to destroy all humanity, what would you think I was talking about?
That's definitely Terminator and Skynet. I really got a kick out of that, because I thought that was my first thought when I read the article. I'm like, holy cow, this is getting closer to close. Science fiction is becoming science fact.
Facebook has been toying with artificial intelligence in its chatting features, but its robots may have gotten out of hand. According to several reports,
Facebook has enacted an emergency shutdown of 2 artificial intelligence programs.
It's a great article.
Yeah, and for those of you, we'll put the article in the show notes. This is an article about Facebook, where they, I guess, created some AI, and in Japan they were testing it out, and it was started off speaking English, and before long the AI was speaking a language that it had created to communicate with each other.
They were trying to teach it to bargain, and there was no, what did they say? They didn't have any syntax for currency or something.
Yeah.
Actually, what they were, what to pay for the stuff they were bargaining back and forth with. So they invented their own.
That's incredible.
And it was kind of scary.
It's very scary. It's very scary, And now I know when my iPhone misbehaves that it's probably talking to another iPhone. It's the iPhone. Actually, I'm going to take mine into the store because I've just gotten fed up with, I'd say 70% of the time I go to use Siri, I get the 1 sec, I'll be right with you, and and it drives me insane. It's like, who are you working for? It's just driving me bonkers and everything.
I am convinced there is a little person in everybody's phone, and just some days they decide,
all right, they've had it too easy. Let me see what I can do to them now.
It's just
It's the same guy that, he used to work in the refrigerator business to turn the light on when you crack the refrigerator open.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, they've branched out now. But, it's funny.
Yes.
I don't know if you're a Big Bang fan, but there was an old episode, where Sheldon talked about how he doesn't use the ATMs because when the machines rise up, it's the ATMs that'll lead the charge. So,
Well, something's going to lead the charge soon. The way that with the AI is getting developed. I mean, this story was just, I was like, holy cow, we're getting closer and closer.
We are. And who knows if it'll be the self-driving cars or the robot vacuums or
yeah, the vacuums.
Robot guide dogs.
My brother just got one of those vacuums. They're pretty neat, I'll tell you.
Yeah, you play around with it.
Robot ones, yeah. You can set it up and you just put it in the left corner of the room and you go away and it knows to avoid obstacles and from what my brother and sister-in-law says, it does an amazing job.
Yeah, I just thought of a great new comedy scene for a movie. I could see somebody breaking into a house at the same time the robot vacuum is set to run.
That scares the crap out of me.
Yeah, and it catching. We're going to see an article, robot vacuum nabs robber.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool.
I do not see the humor in your limited expectations of artificial intelligence.
Now, you got a pretty cool name, John Panarese. My name, it's okay, Bryan Fischler. But this next story, I mean, oh my God, this I had to double check this to make sure this wasn't made up, to make sure it wasn't some wacko parents. You always think about nowadays, like these celebrities naming their kid Apple or Orange. This is somebody who's 21 years old, has had a normal life until probably the last 10 years. And I mean, I was thinking, what could be the worst name on the planet? Maybe Saddam Adolf. That would probably be a little rough.
Yes.
But how about this one? And I apologize to the devices out there. There's a 21-year-old woman in New Jersey whose name is Alexa Siri.
Yeah, imagine that. I mean, she got the double whammy. She had to live with her last name being Siri and people making jokes about, hey, Siri. Oh. And then Amazon comes out with the Echo with Alexa, and so now she's got the double hit on her.
That's unbelievable. I mean, what are the odds? I mean, you're probably more likely to get struck by lightning.
Yeah. And I like what she said. She's like, she refuses to buy an Echo.
Yeah. She does have an iPhone, though, I believe, doesn't she?
Yeah, she has an iPhone, but she said that if she got an Echo, that every time her parents or whatever would say Alexa, she'd be responding all the time.
Yeah, she just constantly thinks people are talking to her. And
right.
Would you change your name?
Yeah, or at least use a nickname. I would introduce myself as something else.
Yeah, I'd go by Alex. I'd just start going by Alex or something. But yeah, that's funny, and I have to tell you that my sister just had a kid, and she named him OK Google. My daughter's going to be Cortana. Yeah. Oh man, I don't know what you do if that's your name, but yeah, definitely.
Just imagine. I mean, just like, and she's saying at work, like everybody makes a joke about it. Siri and Alexa. It's like that's got to really be rough.
Yeah, it's got to be nonstop. I mean, because anytime you introduce yourself to somebody, and if you were to say your full name, you'd be like, seriously?
Yeah, Alexa, Siri.
That's not a name I can respond to.
Now, this next story is kind of a self-created story, because I had the Accessoride experience the other day, John. Now, you use public transit out there on Long Island?
Yeah, a little bit. There ain't much around where I'm particularly living, but occasion I've had the displeasure.
Well, in New York City, go figure, because Accessoride is now screwing up Uber.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, leave it to Accessoride, where basically I thought it was great. At first I started getting text messages that today your Accessoride vehicle will be an Uber and there will be no charge for the ride. It's only $3, but still, it's a lot nicer when it costs you nothing and everything. And it's nicer to travel by Uber than those huge Accessoride vehicles and everything. But good old Accessoride, because they don't think things through, they've basically started to farm out some work to Uber, except there's no way for you to communicate with the driver that you're blind.
Okay.
Unlike when you take Uber, you get the driver's number. I have it set up, John, where I type the letters S and D and then the space bar, and it'll automatically quick text type, I am the blind guy with the legally licensed service dog. I will not be able to see you. Please yell out the window.
Right.
Settings. General. Keyboard. Button. Text replacement button. Add button. Add phrase. Text field is editing. Insertion point at start. I'm the blind guy with the legally licensed service dog. I will not be able to see you. Please yell out the window. Character mode. Insertion point at end. Shortcut. Optional. Text field. Double tap to edit. Insertion point at end. S. S. D. D. Shortcut. Text field is editing. SD. Character mode. Save button. Save. Keyboards. Back button.
And I send that to the driver. Well, I thought that they would text me with this driver's number. Well, it ends up it's not the driver's number. It's some Accessoride dispatch that's texting you. So you have no communication with the driver. And Accessoride doesn't seem to realize you can't text a blind person and say your car will be a Toyota Wayfinder. Be on the lookout.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. But they do also send me the license plate number.
Oh, that's very helpful because, Nash can read those
Exactly. So this week I had the fun of experience of getting your Uber ride has arrived, and then 2 minutes later sending another Uber. Because the Uber drivers kept driving, I guess, there to where I was standing, but they wouldn't yell out the window, and I'd have no clue they were there. Finally, I got somebody on the street to help me, and there was an Uber sitting right there that was waiting for me. I asked the driver, I said, "Did you not get the text message that I'm blind?" And he said, "No." So that's how I figured out it was just going to a dispatch, and the dispatch was not relaying the message. So I did file a complaint with Accessoride, but it was more constructive criticism saying, I think you're doing a good thing here using Uber.
But, yeah, there's got to be communication with the driver.
You gotta have some common sense, people.
Yeah.
So anyway, this frustration led me to finally give in, John. I finally said, you know what? It's time for me to sign up for Aira. Oh. Yeah, I know the fee. You and I have discussed it. Did
you mortgage your apartment rent for, a few months?
I had a little extra money that I came into, and I said, you know what, for the next few months, let me try this. I'm just so fed up. I've heard so many, outside of the price, I've heard nothing but fantastic things.
Oh, I bet you it's a wonderful service, and I have absolutely no problem at all. I think it's a great thing they're doing. It's just, for the average blind person, I think they got to be a little bit more user-friendly and maybe come up with a credit system or an account that you can work off of.
Yeah, and I, like I said, I do think they need to get some kind of lower plan, maybe if they got some kind of plan that even only had like 30 minutes and you just use it. And I really only think I would use it. First I'll test it out, and I'm looking forward to going to the corner store instead of asking, for people to, they're very nice there to grab the milk or whatever. I'm looking forward to finding out what's on every shelf. Find out it's dead bodies.
Yeah, something.
They'll tell me, by the way, this store is disgusting. You do not want to shop here.
Yeah. Do you know it's grody? Oh, thanks.
I'm looking forward to it, so I'm really excited. My glasses, I'm amazed. They really, I ordered it on last, I guess Wednesday. By the time this podcast probably comes out, I'll already have them already. We might be discussing on the next show my first experiences with Aira, and if I like it, I might do something extremely, I've listened to what some people have done that are, kind of out of the box type stuff. I know some people have gone hiking, or some people have assembled things, with directions, but I think I'd be the first person to do crowd work, John. Meaning, I am a comedian.
Now that's funny.
I am a comedian.
Funny.
Whenever I do crowd work, I've always had to do it by sound.
I'm thinking, so people's, gotcha.
I don't know if I have the courage to do it. I'll have to think about it, but I'm thinking if I could connect to an Aira agent and they just describe to me anything that looks out of place or any loud could be fun to do some crowd work.
That would really freak people out. It's like,
Yeah.
Hey, you wore that shirt to the show? What's wrong with you?
Maybe, wait, this guy's not blind.
Exactly.
I could probably end up getting shot. I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to see how the whole Aira experience goes and everything. But I am very, anytime, you get any kind of new technology and everything. And this one, like I said, I've had an issue and I've talked about it on my old show about the price plans. But when I consider the technology and what they're doing, I do consider this the most significant advancement for the visually impaired since the iPhone came out with VoiceOver.
Absolutely.
Now, you run your own business, John. Are you using any kind of credit card scanners? Because I got asked about this recently.
No, I stopped taking credit cards. My first business I did for 15, 18 years, and I took credit cards. And it's not that I would like to, The problem is the fees. And I got so whacked with different types of fees and BS stories from the companies that I was dealing with that when I got into this business, up to this point, 7 years, I just don't take credit cards. I'd rather use PayPal or, check or whatever. But, if I did, there is that iPhone, what is it, the Square app?
Yeah, Square.
I know a few blind vendors that use it, and you can really customize it. And it seems to work well from the training I've done for people on it. But I just don't know if I want to deal with they nickel and dime you. They take, 2.5%, and then you got to pay monthly fees. And for every transaction, you get hit a dime. And it's just, there's all this nonsense.
Yeah, there are fees because with Laugh for Sight, we've used Square, and I'm guilty of just handing off the iPhone and letting somebody sighted do it because, when we're doing the benefit Laugh for Sight and we have a silent auction, we've got a limited amount of time, so I haven't really done it myself, and I'm normally dealing with lineup, issues or other issues behind the scenes. But in my limited experience with it, I know you could run a credit card through it manually, and you can do that. I mean, that takes a little longer to type in the whole number, and then you've got to type in a bunch of other stuff. I don't know if they fixed this. The last I heard about Square, and this is going back a few years, so if somebody out there uses Square, do let us know, because I remember back in the day you still have to screw the credit card swiper into the audio jack, and when you would swipe the card, you can't hear anything.
Yeah, they did something with a splitter.
Okay, I don't have the splitter.
If I remember correctly, yeah. Somebody was telling me that you can get a splitter that you can use so that you can still get the voiceover audio when you do that. I don't know now. It would be interesting to hear people who are using the newer iPhones with the light, that now the 7s that don't have the audio jack.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. And, one of the ways I heard, like I said, if anybody is using this on a regular basis, go ahead and shoot us an email at thatblindtechshow@gmail.com. I did hear some people were having some success using the Square charger and using Bluetooth headphones to hear voiceover.
Yeah, yes, that was another thing, yes.
So let us know. PayPal also has some kind, if you do have a business, you're looking to charge some people, PayPal also does have some kind of credit card swiper now. And these swipers, they'll send you out for free, as long as you have an account and everything. So you don't need to go buy a bunch of equipment and everything. A client of mine was looking into buying a bunch of equipment. And I'm like, well, why in the world would you do that?
Right. It's funny. I should really look into that PayPal thing, because if it works through PayPal, it will enable me to take credit cards and make my life a little bit easier.
Yeah. PayPal does have. I remember getting an email about that. I barely ever use PayPal. The only time I use PayPal is for fantasy. I am in a paid fantasy football and paid fantasy baseball league, and we have to send the money through PayPal and everything. So, and speaking of fantasy, that was the old ESPN thing. We got Blind Abilities football coming back, and we will be talking about it on the show for those of you who want to learn more or those of you that are in the league. And amazingly, we got all 12 owners from last year returning, as well as we're expanding to 14-team leagues. We are completely filled up for this year. Jeff Thompson's joining the league, as well as Pete Lane, both from the Blind Abilities team. Should have a lot of fun with that. You had fun with that last year, right, John?
Yeah, and I'm doing okay in the baseball version. I think I'm in 4th or 5th place, though the other baseball I'm in with you, I can't get out of my own way.
Yeah, I think I saw you were in the basement.
And 19 points.
I'm in 1st place in the Blind Abilities Fantasy Baseball League. I've been cruising in that league and everything.
I've been holding my own, basically 5th place since April, so it hasn't really gone. I haven't gone up or down. I've just kind of been sitting there.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun, but like I said, it is the greatest waste of time. Now, John, do you have an Amazon Echo or no?
No. I was actually going to buy one until Apple announced the HomePod.
Really? You're going to get a HomePod?
Yeah.
Hey, Siri. Play my favorites.
Apple's a company that deeply cares about music and wants to deliver a great audio experience in the home. We feel like we reinvented it in the portable player area, and we think we can reinvent it in the home as well. And we know that people want a speaker now to do more than that, and obviously we want a speaker to do more than that, and so we're sort of combining what has been thought of to be two distinctly different things till now. And I think people are going to love it. I know they are. I mean, I'm a user, and I think they're going to be kind of blown away with the experience.
Yeah, I'm really considering checking that out when it comes out, because I was going to get the Echo. My brother has one up in Buffalo, and I have a lot of fun with it when I'm up there. It is cool, and he's starting to use the different skills and things that you can program into it. So I was really on the fence to order one when I came back in May from there. But then when Tim Cook was talking about the HomePod, I was like, you know what? Let me hold off before I go and buy this thing. And I'm still, I'm kind of messing with the idea of maybe getting the Dot, the cheaper one.
Yeah.
And just messing with that for a few months until the HomePod comes out. Because just anytime I go up to Buffalo and I listen to my brother and sister-in-law use it and I start playing with it, I'm always like, you know what? Maybe it's just worth buying a Dot.
I would suggest if you got the money to do that. For example, I've got the Echo in the living room, the Dot in the bedroom. It's just so nice every night when I go to bed, just instead of having, like when I used to have to go open the alarm on the iPhone, I just tell it, I said, set an alarm for 10 a.m. or whenever I'm getting up. Today,
the crack of noon.
Today that alarm didn't really work,
No.
But no, I love it. But the Dot I believe is selling for $45, and this new story though that just broke yesterday. I looked on Amazon, and this was not available on Amazon as of yet. Anker, who I'm a big fan of.
Yeah, the Anker thing, yeah.
Yeah, the I think it's called the Eufy Genie, which has the Alexa skill built into it, $35.
Right.
And supposedly it's a better speaker. That's my only complaint about the Dot is the speaker's not very good. Sometimes it can't hear me over the fan that's sitting right next to it. So this is something especially for you, I would look into this. I've been very happy with all of the Anker products I've bought over. I didn't realize. I think Anker might be a Chinese company.
Probably. I don't know.
Yeah, but I've bought like a little charger with it's on my keychain and it pops open and it's got lightning cord in it. And so I've got a little charger on my keychain and everything. And that's an Anker product. And I think I bought some other kind of power thing that charges the phone. That's an Anker product. And I've always been happy with all the Anker products I got. So it'll be interesting. But I did a couple searches on Amazon and could not pull this up on Amazon.
I think the article said August 16th.
Okay. So maybe next week,
become available. Yeah, so I think it's probably, Wednesday of next week that, I'm going to definitely look into it because it definitely, it uses the Amazon Echo's skill set and stuff, and you can use the Alexa app.
Exactly. So I might pick up one of these. I mean, for $35, I'd throw it in the kitchen or something. And it does claim that it's a better speaker than the Dot. And I like to listen to the MLB at Bat skill where I just tell the devices to play the Yankee game. And it sounds great on the bigger Echo, but on the Dot, you can barely hear the game and everything.
Right.
So it's interesting. We're seeing more and more products across the board coming out with these home assistants in them.
I think it's, like I said, it's just making life better. Making us lazier and fatter, but it is making life better.
Yeah, I'm at the danger zone. I can't get any lazier or fatter, or it might be I might be sleeping with the fishes. So now I'm actually looking, at least with the glasses with Aira. I've heard that people are learning new skills, and I'm pretty independent blind guy. But the one thing that I just have a fear of is using the stove because I never learned how to cook when I could see. So I stay away from stove. I have this fear of burning myself, and I know it sounds trivial and stupid, and there's it's not. I have the
blind
same
people
fear
out there laughing, but I really do.
Christina, blind chef, she's laughing at both.
Yes, I know she is, and I get it, and you go ahead and goof on me all you want, but I can't get beyond that psychological fear.
Yeah. Those people that have a fear of public speaking, get up on stage and talk, and then talk.
Right.
But it's that's the fear I have. But I've been hearing great things about Blue Apron. I'm not sure how accessible everything is. I've yet to play around with the app, but I am looking forward to, at least if I've got Aira, I could have somebody walking me through, how to cook. But then, if you're cooking something for a half hour, that's a lot of minutes.
Right. Yeah, you're going to be using them up pretty fast.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll have to see. That's something. It's food for thought.
Please explain. Food for thought does not compute.
Kind of scary.
It's very scary. Yeah, this next story that you and I actually discussed shortly before we started recording here, and we don't want to raise any fear. Don't go running for the exits when you hear this if you have not heard this. But we're pretty sure that the new iPhone that will be coming out in probably a month to 6 weeks, no more home button, John.
Yeah, be prepared if you subscribe to the visually impaired iPhone list and the equivalents out there. Just like any time Apple, removes something, gets rid of the headphone jack, and every change they make to the devices spells the end of the world for Apple. And what are they thinking? And that's stupid. And blind people are never going to be able to use it. So let's just see what Apple does and how they're going to deal with it.
You forgot that Apple doesn't care about accessibility.
Oh, yeah, no, they stopped caring. Yeah, they don't care about accessibility. That's what I always hear every time a new operating system comes out. They don't care. They got rid of all their voiceover people. Really? That's how come the job postings on Apple is continually looking for more people for the voiceover team.
Well, that's because they keep firing them once they're there. By the way, speaking of the lists, I was going through it, when I was looking for topics for the show, and there was a great little exchange about the moderators. Did you happen to see that?
I kind of, you know what it is? I get on the cusp sometimes of just quitting some of these lists because the traffic. If I go away for a few days,
thousands,
it just buries me, and I really am cringing because I'm going away for 2 weeks in September, and that could be 10,000 emails easily.
Do you put them all in a subscriptions folder in your mail so they don't interfere with your inbox?
I actually am going to do filters this time before.
That's what I do.
Yeah,
I do.
I'm actually going to do that because I just don't want to. I know. I mean, I'll have internet access. It's not like I'm going to some remote place. It's just when I go on vacation, I just don't want to look at emails and stuff. The whole idea of going away.
I thought you said you were going on a walkabout through the wilderness in unsettled Australia.
That's next year. That's next year.
Yeah, so getting back to the home button. I don't know how we got so far away from the home button. And these are just rumors that we've been hearing. I mean, for all we know, Apple's going to go ha-ha at the last minute and include the home button, But so we're not 100% certain. It's a story, though, because obviously the triple-click home is something that most blind people use all the time. And, there's a rumor that there might be a virtual home button on the screen, and I imagine you'll probably have to just triple-click that 3 times.
Right, and because they're saying in the technical data that there's a way to resize it. And, who knows? They could be setting it up for a future iPhone, the software. So, we'll see when we see, And don't panic. Even if they remove it, at this point, Apple, look at the touch bar on the MacBook Pros. People were clamoring about how, blind people are not going to be able to use the touch bar, and how are you going to turn VoiceOver on your Mac now if you don't have function keys? And I have one of the Macs with the touch bar, and Apple, as usual, finds ways that we can still use it.
You hold it upside down and shake it 3 times, right?
You got to stand on one foot while you do it, too.
Oh, I forgot that. Yeah. I forgot that. It is the power button you press 3 times?
Yeah, you press the power button 3 times, or you can hold down the FN key, and you can, it just, there's different ways of doing it.
Yeah.
That makes the function keys appear, and you can do Command F5, to turn off VoiceOver if you need to, stuff like that.
I kind of like a virtual home button. That sounds kind of cool.
It does.
It does. It's weird, though, because when reading this article, it said, there's going to be a space for it, but you can't, really move it or anything. It's I don't know. It just seemed like you would be able to, sometimes have the home button there and sometimes have something else there or something.
Right.
Now, that's the way, it would be, cool to me. But, I've been reading a couple of the rumors, and it's sad. For the 10-year anniversary of the iPhone, it's just doesn't seem that exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really excited about anything that's come. I mean, I'm not trying to criticize Apple or anything by any stretch of the imagination, but from an accessibility standpoint and an excitement standpoint, I just haven't read anything about iOS 11, High Sierra, the new iPhone. Just nothing that said to me, oh man, I can't wait till this comes out, type of thing.
Yeah.
So who know, we'll see. We'll see what it actually looks like when it comes out. And, who knows if Apple's been keeping stuff under their hat. They've been known to kind of, by the way, guess what else approach.
Yeah, one of the things I was excited about was Universal Clipboard. And I've spent hours on the phone with Apple. Universal Clipboard still doesn't even work for me. And they did tell me it works for some people, doesn't work for others. So I'm one of those lucky ones where...
Yeah, it works hit or miss with me. Sometimes it's beautiful, and then other times I can't figure out why it's not working. So I don't know.
Yeah, and the one thing that I was very excited about was the Apple TV app, and that was a big disappointment to me too, because sometimes you're supposed to have this universal login, and I think Verizon Fios might now be on it, but at first they weren't, and it wasn't very well laid out and everything, the whole Apple TV.
It's kind of weird because like I use it a lot, and you got to sometimes go through hoops to actually play the content you want to play.
Yeah.
Like I like to watch a lot of stuff like from Sci-Fi Network and things like that. Like I'm on an Ancient Aliens show kick. And, you know, you got to get that
from
through.
E.T.'s keyboard?
Yeah, from E.T.'s keyboard. If he's listening to the show, yes. You know,
I don't think he listens.
But to get to the episode sometimes. And the other thing is because I travel, it kicks you out. So, like, you know, it'll use my local cable provider when I'm here. But when I went up to Buffalo, I had to choose my local cable provider again. And when I went to Orlando, I wanted to listen to something else. And I had to fill it. So sometimes it is annoying, but you know, the interface, I mean, they've made it accessible and it does definitely work, but sometimes you got to go through hoops to actually get to what you want to watch. And of course, they're trying to sell you things. So, you know, right away you see the rent or buy, but if you're patient, you can find where you can avoid having to rent or buy to play the episodes.
Well, and one, to be fair to Apple, has the internet come to Buffalo yet?
Oh, the people in Buffalo are not going to like you.
Not going to be happy about that one. I love you, Buffalo. I'm just kidding. Hey, you know, you suffer through having the Bills there. We shouldn't be throwing any more darts at you.
Oh, please. I was almost physically assaulted because I made a joke. Somebody brought up Jim Kelly.
Okay.
And I said something about 0 for 4. Or, you know, I said, yeah, because no, they were saying his number was 12, okay. Right? So, because my nephew loves Tom Brady. So, when he's playing football
Wait,
this
your nephew
season,
lives in
12.
Buffalo and loves Tom Brady?
Yes, he loves Tom Brady.
Isn't that sacrilegious?
Yeah, it is. They consider it to be. So, when he told the parents that, yeah, I took 12, and she goes, oh, for Jim Kelly, right? And he said, no. And I said, wait, didn't Jim Kelly, shouldn't he wear 04? I thought she was going to kill me, go for my throat. It's like, you don't say stuff. It's like that, and you don't mention the name Brent Hull up in Buffalo.
From hockey,
the Buffalo Sabre, from losing the Stanley Cup Finals to Dallas back in 97. So that's another sore spot for people up in Buffalo.
Yeah, you know, it's and I think back in the 80s, they actually thought they were going to get a professional baseball team, and they built a stadium, but nobody came.
Yeah, no, they should have one, because they would they definitely get a massive following up there. Sports is big in Buffalo, whether it's baseball, football, hockey, whatever. But that's for a time for another broadcast.
Maybe we'll do a sports show. But you know, there's an interesting article, you know, with the death of the iPad Nano and the Shuffle. Somebody was asking, well, maybe it's time for iTunes to sleep with the fishes.
I think it's long overdue that they at least break iTunes up like they're doing in iOS, where you have a music app and a photos app and a videos app, and I think it's long overdue that they do that with the Mac, and I agree with the person who wrote the article that it really, you know, iTunes had a purpose and it was great back in the day, but I think it's kind of become a monstrosity.
Yeah.
That if they eliminated it into its separate individual parts, it would make it a lot more manageable on a Mac to take care of your movies and, you know, like the guy said, maybe an iDevice maintenance app if you do need to sync, you know, or recover stuff from your iPhone or your iPad or your iPod Touch, you know. So I agree. I think that Apple should really consider paralleling what they've done with the iDevices when it comes to those apps.
Do you remember the day when you actually had to turn VoiceOver on for the first time through iTunes?
Yes. I was actually thinking about that when I read the article. I was like, yeah, I remember that. Holy cow.
Yeah, and, you know, I think people on the PC are saying, yes, please kill iTunes, because I hear the accessibility of iTunes on the PC is just... I don't know if it's just poorly laid out or Jaws just doesn't play well with it, but were you ever a PC guy, or have you been on?
No. I still have a PC here. I mean, I've used Windows back as far as 92, 93. So I actually was one of people out there remember the Synthavoice, the product, the 2000 with the Slimware window bridge. 2001 and all that stuff. And then I went over to Window-Eyes and Jaws and kind of used them both. I was a big Window-Eyes user because I just think that ever since Freedom bought Jaws from Hunter Joyce, for those of you who actually remember when that happened, they kind of destroyed the product.
The best music player that I ever had was back on the PC. I don't know if you ever used Music. I think it was called Music Match Jukebox. It was just a great program.
Yes, that was a great, yes. In fact, I probably still have it on my PC. It's probably still there.
Yeah, it was very easy to use. And now, to be fair, I was using this when I still had Vision and everything, so I don't know what the accessibility of it was like.
No, it was accessible. Okay. It was accessible.
Yeah, it was a great program and everything. And, the great thing about doing this show is sometimes I learn something new, whether it's something about assistive technology, whether it's about something about company or just anything. And this might be the favorite phrase that I've ever learned. John, do you know what a DickBar is?
Yeah, I thought I never knew that expression, what that was, until I read that article. I was like, wow. Now I'm going to use that. I'm going to call people that.
Yeah. This is the greatest I didn't know there was a name for it. Now, it's a web term. DickBar is one of the most annoying things to voiceover users, because anytime you get when the reader doesn't work with an article and you have to go to the heading and then a VO right arrow, and then the worst is when the website is designed with frames and you have to interact with the Facebook frame and then it puts you in the Twitter frame. And anyways, I guess where all those things are, Facebook, Twitter, share this, do that, hop on one foot, all of that stuff combined is called a DickBar.
Yeah, and it was coined by who was it? John Gruber?
I don't recall who.
Yeah, Daring Fireball. I think John Gruber was the one who they say coined that phrase.
Yeah, you see, John. I bet you were thrilled when you learned that name.
Yeah, I just and I was like, wow, I never knew that had a name. Okay.
I'm thinking about getting this app. The weird thing is I don't have as many issues on the iPhone with DickBars as I do on the Mac with DickBars.
Yes.
I wanted to say that twice.
Yes. Yeah, what is it called?
Unobstruct.
Yes. Yep.
99-cent app for the iPhone. No clue about the accessibility, but it sounds like you just have to add it to your Safari settings or something, and it automatically does away with the DickBars.
Yeah, so it basically is an ad blocker, and as you know, everybody is infamous for doing that, and for sighted people and blind people trying to read stuff online with all the different ads in the DickBar just make it very, very difficult. So yeah, I think stuff like this is a great idea personally.
Yeah. Yeah, and something tells me that the phrase DickBar might make it into the title of this episode.
Somehow I can see it happening, yes.
You gotta love some of these expressions and everything. But John, we got a regular segment that we're doing on the show where we like to ask each guest, and I'll chime in as well. Hopefully eventually we'll have some theme music to lead into it. We call it what you watching, what you reading. Are you reading anything right now that you might have gotten in Bard or Bookshare?
Not from Bard and Bookshare, actually through Audible.
Okay.
The book my brother recommended. I'm a history buff. I love, American history, world history. And I'm reading a book called Don't Call Me a Hero. It's by the guy who basically was part of the Midway raid back in 1942, who sank a couple of Japanese characters on his aircraft carriers.
Were they cartoon characters?
Yeah, cartoon characters. His name is Jack Kleiss, Dusty Kleiss. It's a great book. That's what I've been reading over the last month or so.
Do you know the name William Tibbets?
Yes. How do I know that name? Yes.
He was the captain of the Enola Gay.
Oh, yes. Yes, okay.
He was a fraternity brother of mine. I actually got to meet him.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, he was the only one that did not go crazy, and he was the only one that knew what the mission was and everything. So, fascinating individual. If you ever want to read about a very, very fascinating, and he passed away probably about 10 years ago, but William F. Tibbets. The Enola Gay was, I believe, his mother's name.
Yes. Yeah.
So it was named for his mother, and I got to meet him, and he told me, this is going back 20 years when I met him, that till that day he had gotten death threats up to that day about, dropping the bombs, but he had no regrets because in his eyes it saved American lives. So
yeah, well, you can't go back and question what happened back at that time. I love people, the armchair quarterbacks who love to say, oh, we shouldn't have done that. You weren't alive, well, most people listening to this podcast weren't alive in 1945, and that point in history, and how many millions of American lives would have been lost if the Marines had to land and try to take Japan forcibly.
Yeah.
So, you can't second guess what was done back then.
I just realized I'm probably one of the few people on the planet that's actually shaken William F. Tibbetts' hands and met him, and Buzz Aldrin's hand and met him.
I would love to meet Buzz Aldrin. He's a hero of mine. I've read both of his books that he has out there. He's definitely somebody I'd like to meet.
I'll tell you a funny story. So I was on the show Top Gear. You could Google YouTube Blind Drift Challenge. My friend, not the English version, that's the most popular show in the world, but the American one. And they had Nash and me on it. They had us on a racetrack. I ended up beating the two co-hosts of the show, my good buddy Adam Ferrara. He's one of the hosts of the show. And so when we went to do the studio audience part, Buzz Aldrin was there also to film his studio audience part. So I said, oh, I'd love to meet him. So they take me over to meet him, and they bring me up, and I walk up with my guide dog. And they say to Buzz, this is one of our drivers. He goes, wait a minute. You drove? And I said, yes, sir. And he goes, you're one brave... And I'm thinking, here's the man that walked on the moon.
On the moon.
So that was my experience with Buzz Aldrin. Really nice guy. Buzz Aldrin thinks I'm brave, which is pretty funny. But, well, getting back to our topic, do you watch a lot of things with described video, or are you not a fan?
I do, on occasion. I mean, the last thing, I'm trying to think what movie it was I've rented. How far behind the times. I think it was Jurassic World. Back, and I would love to have time to like the Netflix shows and stuff. I have so many friends that keep talking about the different Netflix, series. I got a lot of superhero friends,
enough with
Daredevil and, all that stuff. So, but, I only get a chance to really rent the iTunes movies. A lot of times when I'm traveling, I'm in a hotel room and I got nothing better to do. I'll rent a movie, that's got the described video. So I think Jurassic World might have been the last movie I rented that had the descriptive audio.
Was it good?
Yes. Yeah, it's definitely.
I'm not reading anything because I'm illiterate. No, I just don't have the time. I'm listening to podcasts all the time or doing research for the show. But a couple things that I've really been enjoying. If you're in the United States, all of USA Network's original programming has described video. The problem is the audio tracks are so low, you've got to turn it up so loud. When the commercials kick in, they'll cause you to jump. But I do love Suits, which has described video. They have a new show called The Sinner with Jessica Biel, who I love. Did not love the first episode. Not even sure if I'm going to make it to the second episode. So that one wasn't as good. And Shooter, which is also... Shooter was a hit movie with Mark Wahlberg. First it was a best-selling book. Then it was a hit movie with Mark Wahlberg. Now it's a hit TV show in its second season on the USA Network, all with described video, with Ryan Felipe. And first season was excellent. Second season is really good as well. So a couple of shows all on the USA Network, all with described video that I've been enjoying. And John, well, this has been a lot of fun, man. You have any last words? Anything you want to add? Anything coming up? Your Twitter handle, anything at all?
Well, the Twitter handle's at MacForTheBlind, if anybody is interested in actually following me. And, check out the website if you guys would be willing to do so, www.MacForTheBlind.com. I have audio tutorials for sale there, as well as a lot of free stuff. I know people love free stuff and make a lot of things available to the community, getting started with iOS links and getting started with the Mac. So hopefully you'll find something up there that appeals to you. And I'm looking forward to seeing what Apple's going to do in September with the iPhone 8 and when the release of iOS 11 and High Sierra will be and the HomePod, all that good stuff.
Were you disappointed by the name High Sierra?
Yes. Yes, I was. I thought that was kind of lame, personally. No offense to Tim Cook and everybody, but you could have done something a little bit better than that.
Yeah, I think they've finally they were looking at mountain ranges and they're like, we really don't have very else to go.
Probably should have called it Yellowstone or Jellystone.
Yellowstone or Santa Monica or something. There's
come on,
a lot of things they could have called it, but yeah, that High Sierra. It's like when you heard that, it was like, no, seriously?
Really? What's the real name? Come on, Tim. What are you really calling it?
Yeah, it's like, what's it really called? But awesome, John. Well, we hope you have we know you're going to Hawaii. We hope you have a great time out there, and you don't fall off a cliff.
And I'll try not to.
Yeah. So this was a lot of fun. Remember, download us through the Blind Abilities podcast feed. If you liked something, if you didn't like something, let us know, because we do want to hear from you. If you've got any questions or anything, or any topics you want us to cover, because believe it or not, this was a slow news cycle, but we had some good topics, some good fun. Let us know. The email is thatblindtechshow@gmail.com. Twitter is blindtechshow. On Twitter, I'm Blind Gator on Twitter. Follow me because co-hosts need love too. And for now, I guess John and I are out.
That Blind Tech Show.
When we share
what we see through each other's eyes, we can then begin to bridge the gap between the limited expectations and the reality
of blind abilities.
The realities of blind abilities.
For more podcasts with a blindness perspective, check us out on the web at www.blindabilities.com, on Twitter @blindabilities. Download our app from the App Store, Blind Abilities, that's 2 words, or send us an email at info@blindabilities.com. Thanks for listening.